Hey everybody, welcome back. We only have a few trading days left in 2025, and we're looking here at the S&P 500 returns since the year 1960. And we can see that we're currently at 15.1% in the year 2025, and we're coming off of a 3-year winning streak. So 2025, 2024, and 2023, all solid years. 2023, obviously the best of those after coming off of the Russia-Ukraine invasion and the hyperinflation that we saw back in 2022. So 2023 came roaring back with a over 26% return, 25% return in 2024. And this is why we invest. We invest because the stock market has more up years than down years, as we can see by this chart right here. And those returns are sometimes double digit returns in the 20s, 30s, just phenomenal performance in the S&P 500. Now, obviously, past performance is not any indication of what's going to happen in the future. And so we don't know what the future holds, what the future has in store for us. But what we do feel confident in is that the economy is going to grow, that the stock market's going to perform well. Historically, it's returned about 10%. In recent years, we'll see later on in this video, it's returned much more than 10% per year. So what we want to address in this video is how can we get well diversified in our portfolio in the simplest way possible? The answer to that is ETFs, exchange traded funds. We're going to look at the 7 ETFs that we enjoy, that we use, that we invest in on a regular basis here at Interflame Finance. So the first on our list is Vong. This is a Vanguard product. The dividend is about 0.4%. The expense ratio is 0.07%. Now, what an expense ratio is, just real quick, we'll talk more about ETFs in detail in a future video. But what an expense ratio is how much it costs to have them manage that money. So Vong is an ETF that has hundreds of companies in it, and when you invest $100 into that company, or rather into that ETF, you're investing your $100 across many, many, many different companies. And so that ETF rebalances how much of that money goes to which companies. Okay. And so that's not free. So the expense ratio is how much it costs you as the investor to have Vong, to have Vanguard essentially do that for you. And 0.07%, that's not 7%, that's 0.07%. So that means if you invested $10,000 into Vong, they're going to take $7 of that $10,000 and keep that for themselves. And that usually comes out in the share price. That usually comes out in the price of the ETF itself. Um, so just keep that in mind. We like low expense ratios. There are ETFs out there that have expense ratios of 0.7, not 0.07, but 0.7. Some are even 1%. Some are even over 1%. And those don't seem like a lot. Those expense ratios don't seem too hefty. But when you run the numbers, you can see that that really eats away at your performance and your capital, especially if that ETF is underperforming the market. So Vong, very respectable at 0.07% expense ratio. Their gain this year in the past 52 weeks is 16% even. 5 years, they've gained 102.9%. And what I've done here is I've annualized that at 15.2%. So that means in the past 5 years, if you have invested your money into Vong, you will have seen a 15.2% return on your invested capital. And that is our favorite ETF on this channel. I just want to compare that to VU. VU is the stock market. It's essentially the S&P 500. It's another Vanguard product. They have a 1.1% dividend. Their expense ratio is less than half of that of Vong, but you can see that Vong still massively outperforms them on the 1 year, the 5 year, and the annualized returns. So VU is fantastic. VU is a great ETF. It used to be a main stay in our portfolios, but when we discovered Vong, we saw that on any time scale, Vong way outperforms VU. And so we've decided to just focus more on Vong in the past years. But I wanted to emphasize and highlight VU because that is a favorite of investors. That is the S&P 500. When people say the S&P 500 returns 10% a year, this is what they are talking about. And annualized in the past 5 years, they have returned 13.5%. So nothing to sneeze at. Now we have another S&P 500 ETF, SPY, and this is something I've never understood. People love to talk about SPY. People love to talk about the S&P 500 being SPY. Now, what I'm not too clear on is why, because their expense ratio is more than triple that of VU. Their dividend is slightly lower. Their year gain is basically the same. Their percent gain is a little bit better, and annualized it's 0.1% better. So, I mean, maybe this 0.1% makes up for the expense ratio, makes up for the smaller dividend. Maybe it all evens out in the end. I'm not sure. But just the fact that their expense ratio is more than triple that of VU, it's something that's always left me scratching my head. So SPY is fine. If you invest in the SPY, that's great. Don't sell out of your position. And this would be a great time for a reminder that nothing on this channel is financial advice. We're not telling you to buy, sell, or hold anything in your portfolios. You always need to do your own due diligence, find out what works best for you in your portfolio and where you are in your investing journey. Also, this would be a great time if you're getting anything out of these videos, please like and subscribe. We're trying to grow up this channel and reach as many people with this great investing news as possible. Um, while we're talking about VU and SPY, there's also VTI. VTI is another Vanguard product, and it is the entire stock market. So it's not just the top 500 companies in the US, it's all American companies, and they offer a 1.1% dividend. They also have a very low expense ratio of 0.03%. But we can see that yearly they've underperformed the S&P 500. Past 5 years they've underperformed, and instead of getting returns in the mid 13s, you're getting something in the low 12s annualized for the past 5 years. So, and the reason why is that the smaller cap companies, the things that are not on the S&P 500, they haven't been doing so well. The small caps, the micro caps, the mid caps, they're not performing as well as not just the S&P 500, but the top 7 companies, the Magnificent Seven. We've done a video on that in the past, so if you want to check that out, we did some analysis on the Mag 7 stocks. But those 7 stocks, the Amazons, the Metas, the Teslas, the Googles, the Microsofts, they've done so well in the past 5 years that they are the ones carrying these amazing returns for the S&P 500, which is why the S&P 500 is doing so much better than the overall stock market. Okay, so just real quick, the ones that I'm highlighting in blue, these are ETFs that we hold at Interflame Finance, and the white ones are just sort of for comparison. So here's another one that we like, QQQM. So this is the NASDAQ 100. This is the top companies, I believe, that are not financial companies. And we can see here phenomenal performance. Okay, so they offer a 0.5% dividend, a little bit better than the 0.4 from Vong. Their expense ratio is 0.15%. Now, that is more than double Vong. So that gives us a little pause for concern. Their yearly gain, though, it's beating Vong by 2%, annualized by a little less than 1% for the past 5 years. Rather, the past 5-year gain, a little less than 1%, and basically the same as Vong on an annualized basis. So again, does it warrant this slightly better return annualized for the past 5 years? When they have a higher expense ratio, they're getting a slightly higher dividend. Is this something that all sort of balances out in the end? That's something for us to look at when it comes to what are these companies holding. Now, QQQ used to be one of our favorites on this channel in Interflame Finance, but it has a slightly higher expense ratio. So it has a lower dividend, it has a slightly higher percent expense ratio. Yearly gains the same. 5-year gains slightly under QQQM. So this is another thing that leaves me scratching my head why QQQM is not more popular than QQQ. Okay, it's a little bit cheaper and it's basically the same fund. So another thing that we like on our channel is VXUS. So V is a Vanguard product. XUS means everything except the United States. So this is international stocks. This is, I believe, every single international stock that's not American. And we can see they offer a pretty nice dividend at 3.2%. Their expense ratio is pretty low at 0.05%. This past year, they have outperformed Vong, they've outperformed VU, they've outperformed American stocks by quite a bit. Now, that's not to say that that's been the case for the past 5 years. The past 5 years, the S&P 500 is getting 88%, Vong is getting 103%, VXUS, international stocks, have only gained 30% in the past 5 years. Annualized, that's only a 5.4% return over the past 5 years annualized. So that's a little concerning in that sense. But what I want to show you now is this chart. And this is periods when the international stocks outperformed or underperformed United States stock. And so when you're above 0%, that's when the US is losing. So these are periods up here when international stocks outperformed the United States, and when it's below, it's when the United States stocks did better than international. You can see this is very cyclical. So in the 1970s, in the late 70s, early 80s, all throughout the 80s, um, in the 2000s, this is when we had 9/11, we had the dot-com bubble bust, and then we went into the great financial crisis. International stocks beat American stocks. And what we see here is there's this sort of rounding out where United States stocks have been dominating since about 2009. They've just outperformed international stocks, but this gap is starting to close, right? So if we sort of extrapolate, it could possibly be the case that United States stocks are not going to have the best 5 to 10 years, and international stocks may outperform. We don't know that for sure, of course, but what it certainly seems like is when you have the international stocks almost doubling the gain of the S&P 500, right? 28% versus 15%. Even though it hasn't had the best 5 years, international stocks may start to outperform United States stocks. And so we're not saying to dump all your eggs into that basket. We're not saying to go all in on international stocks. There's always risk in those as well. The United States is still the best place to park your money. However, there may be some uncertainty in the next 5 to 10 years. And so, in the spirit of diversification, we may want to consider something like VXUS. And in that note, we also have VWO. These are emerging fund, or rather, emerging market funds. So these are smaller countries. These are developing countries that could have a potential large return, right? So the United States is the big dog. China is quite large. They are, especially the United States, they are very well established countries. They have grown to immense proportions, and they may not have much more room for growth. They may grow, but there may not be that much room for growth. When you have a little tiny country, when you have an emerging market, VWO invests in those markets, and you may see gains, percent gains that way outweigh those of the United States. So VWO, another favorite on our channel, another favorite in our portfolios because this is emerging markets. They offer a very nice dividend at 2.8%, very respectable expense ratio at 0.07%. Yearly gain, again, this is beating the S&P 500 and VONG and the NASDAQ. So emerging markets have done better than United States this year. However, the past 5 years, not the case at all. Not even better than the overall international market. Annualized for the past 5 years, you've only seen a 2.1% return on your money. However, like we saw in this chart here, the international stocks may start to outperform United States stocks for a while. We don't know how long that'll be, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility. Another favorite of ours in our portfolios is SCHD. This is a high dividend yield, high dividend growth ETF. So they're currently offering so far the largest dividend at 3.8%. Their expense ratio is very moderate, 0.06%. However, the past year they are pretty flat at 0.5%. Past year they've gone up only 31%. And when you annualize that, in the past 5 years, you've only seen a 5.6% return. Now, part of the reason for that very, very low return relative to things like VONG and QQQM is that SCHD is investing in companies with high dividends. And so companies don't grow as fast if they offer dividends in general, because a lot of that dividend money that could be spent on research and development and expanding their brand, expanding their product, is instead going to shareholder pockets. So you typically don't see companies grow a whole bunch in market cap and also grow high dividends. So SCHD is sort of a counterbalance to the strong growth that we've seen in the NASDAQ or in VONG or even in VU. Okay, so this is something where you're going to get a pretty healthy dividend at almost 4%. And with the federal funds rate coming down and interest rates being lowered, this is a very attractive rate, while you're also getting 5.6% annualized growth of the stock price itself. Okay, so something to consider. Yeah, again, we're talking about the spirit of diversity. SCHD is a favorite of ours because of that steady income, that steady dividend, and that steady dividend growth that SCHD offers. We also have VNQ. This is a real estate ETF. So You could own real estate. You could own a house. You could rent it out to people. You could do the maintenance on it. You could collect that money. It's a lot of work. I know people that are in the real estate game and they make a lot of money, but it's also a lot of work. It's also a lot of headache and hassle. And so VNQ is your opportunity to own a bunch of real estate with even just a $100 or even a $1 investment. You're going to get a 2.8% dividend while owning companies that own real estate, and they manage it for you, and that's not for free. This is one of the highest expense ratios so far, 0.13%. So it is rather expensive to have them, own this real estate and invest it on your behalf. But if you want to get a taste of real estate in your portfolio, VNQ, another Vanguard product, might be right for you. Yearly gain, they're actually down 0.2% this year. In the past 5 years, they're only up 6.3%. So annualized, they're pretty flat at 1.2% per year. However, we hope that with lowering interest rates, that starts to sort of chip away and thaw at the real estate market, and hopefully the worst is behind us and we'll start to see growth in the REITs. And finally, we have SPHY. This is by far the best dividend at 7.4%, very low expense ratio, pretty flat over the past year, actually down the past 5 years. We're down 10%, which means annualized we're down 2.1%. However, that dividend slightly makes up for it at 7.4%. But the reason why we like SPHY is this is not money that we want to grow at all. All right. This is money that we sort of want to park there and maybe earn a little bit of money in dividends. And so this 7.4% has been pretty steady, has been pretty stable for the past several years. Unfortunately, the share price of SPHY has gone down quite a bit. Annualized, we're down about 2.1% per year. But this offers exposure to the bond market, and in particular, high dividend, sort of junk bond type bonds in the bond market. So it's another way of diversifying your portfolio and getting a very high dividend yield. The downside to that is you might be losing some of your invested capital. Finally, just for emphasis, I want to show the 7 that we prefer on this channel. Over the past 5 years, we see that QQQM, the NASDAQ, and VONG, the high growth ETFs, are just in their own stratosphere at 102%. And we see SPHY down there at negative 10%. This is in the past 5 years. However, this is the price change. What we've been looking at on that spreadsheet are price changes. If we look at total return, we can see that lifts everybody up into the positive realm. In fact, SPHY is up 26% when you take their dividends into account as well. Now, QQQM and VONG are still the winners at 108%, but it shows that even with SPHY's recent fall from grace in terms of their stock price, collecting those dividends, reinvesting those dividends still puts you up 26% over the past 5 years. Is that fantastic growth? No, that's about 5% growth per year. That's nothing to write home about, but it offers a little bit of stability and protection if the stock market sort of takes a tumble. Okay, so again, if you get anything out of these videos, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your mother-in-law about this channel. Nothing on this channel is financial advice. Don't YOLO all of your money into anything. Don't buy, sell, or hold anything that we say. This is just for entertainment and educational purposes. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next video.